Ranix Reviews. This one I'm going to be talking about something that is neither a review nor news, because that's pretty much the two kind of videos that I do. I'm going to be talking about the Deadpool movie that is due out in 2016. At the moment it's been slated for February 12th, 2016, but I'm not really sure if they're going to stick to that. But as I say, I usually do either news or reviews, and this is neither, because I mean this story that they were going to do a Deadpool movie was officially announced a week or two ago. But it's something that I've been thinking of a lot, and I think it's kind of sparked a lot of discussion on the internet with, you know, how they're going to do it. Is it going to be PG-13? Will that work? Why does it have to be PG-13? Is it necessary? Lots of stuff's been said, basically, and I just wanted to kind of get into that a little bit and just kind of contribute to that discussion online, because, like I said, there's a lot of it going on. So, first of all, the history of the project, anyway. If you don't know who Deadpool is, I'd probably suggest you look it up before you watch this video, to be honest, because he's got quite a history to him, and he's one of the more violent Marvel characters, like the Punisher in the actual comics. Very violent. I mean, this isn't really something that, to be faithful, would be PG-13, but I can see where they're going to go with that if they are. I'll get into that later anyway. But in case you don't know who he is, he's this guy. This is what he looks like. He's most faithful. At his least faithful, that's what he looks like. If you've seen the 2009 X-Men Origins Wolverine film, that guy is Deadpool. That was what they did with him. He's supposed to look like that, and what the hell, he came out looking like that. It wasn't really well received when they did that. But again, I'll get into that later on as well. So Deadpool's kind of an anti-hero. Good guy, bad guy. He's known as the Merc with a mouth, which means mercenary, Merc. No, he's not a Mercedes, he's a mercenary. So he'll basically offer his services to the highest bidder. But again, I'm not going to get too much into his origins. You can look that up separately. That's not the purpose of this video. So anyway, the history of the project, like I say, it goes back at its most recent, with it really moving on in 2004. David Goyer, who wrote Blade, directed Blade 3 around about that time, 2004, and was writing the Dark Knight trilogy around about that time, I think he was approached to write this, or in some capacity, I don't know, maybe even direct it, but he didn't. That didn't obviously happen. A few years passed by. 2010, I think it went to Robert Rodriguez, the director of Sin City, From Dusk Till Dawn, a few other good ones. But he went on to do, I think it was Spy Kids 4 or something instead. This is all according to the Marvel website, so I kind of got this from there. So I don't know how much truth there is in it, but I mean, if it's up there, I'm going to go with that. 2012 then came, and that was around about the time that they did this test footage, which I'm sure a lot of you will have seen online. It was something that, although it was shot in 2012, wasn't actually really widely seen until a few weeks ago. As I'm recording this, it's September 29th, 2014, so it was around about July, August time. It was around about the time of the Comic Con in San Diego, when there was a lot of videos coming out, like the Batman vs Superman video, and a lot of things get leaked around about this time. Well, the Deadpool footage was leaked on the internet. It was done on purpose. We know that that's the case. It was leaked by the people that own the footage to get a fan reaction. I say the people own the footage, obviously they had the footage, they owned it in order to be able to release it. So that's what happened. Again, it's pretty well understood that it was done Katie Price style, as in like, oh no, I don't want this to get out there and publicise, you know, myself. Obviously that's what they did. They wanted to know what the fan reaction would be online, and it was very positive. I myself was quite vocal about it in certain forums. Just to say, you know, this is a film they have to make, they have to do this, there's a big enough following to it, and I'm sure it would be very successful. It's also very different to what they've been doing in recent years with superhero comic book characters. Certainly good films. I mean, they've done violent ones like Punisher, Warzone, but it wasn't really all that great. So this could really be something quite good if they do it as like an R-rated or an 18 certificate in the UK. But again, I'm going to kind of save that for later on. So, yeah, fan reaction was positive, so we heard a couple of weeks ago, I think it was now, that officially confirmed they are doing a Deadpool movie for February 12th, 2016 so far, although I'm sure that is subject to change. We'll see if it's any good or not, but one of the major questions early on within the last couple of weeks was, is this film going to be R-rated, which in the UK would be an 18 certificate, or a 15 certificate possibly, or is it going to be PG-13, which in the UK would be a 12 or a 12A. Now, obviously this is a very violent comic book character, and if they're going to stay loyal, which a lot of fans want them to do, it really does have to be R-rated. I mean, he swears left, right and centre, he's, you know, the violence in this is very graphic in the comics. But does that necessarily mean that if they do a film, it can only be good if it's R-rated or an 18 certificate? Not necessarily. I mean, the test footage that was released, well, leaked, was pretty much PG-13 standard. There was like one F word in it. The violence was very kind of cartoony. It wasn't, you didn't really see a lot of violence in it from memory anyway. It wasn't like blood splattering everywhere, and you know, I mean, there was heads getting chopped off and stuff like that, but it was done in such a way that you didn't see it. It was kind of suggested, you know, violence rather than graphic. So I mean, that is what you would be getting if it's a PG-13. So I basically dismiss any idea that it can only be good if it's an R-rated film. I think that's a lot of bollocks. A lot of other people have said that as well. I think that's generally understood. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, it wouldn't be better if it was R-rated. I'm sure it would be, just in terms of that's what the fans want, that's what the character is in the comics. He's very violent, he swears all the time. But I don't know, I mean, it makes more business sense. I can understand why it would be PG-13, because they want this to be made, they want to make money off it, and, you know, if this is R-rated and it doesn't do all that great because under 18s or under whatever age can't go see it, therefore it doesn't make as much revenue, odds of getting a sequel, if it's a good film, are very slim. I mean, we've seen that with Dredd. There's I mean, I reckon they will do a Dredd sequel, but because I mean the demand is there, but they've had to struggle for it just because the first film didn't do all that great at the cinema. And part of the reason for that was, well, in the UK they didn't seem to really be showing it at a lot of cinemas. But again, those kind of comic book films, be they graphic violent or not, tend to get a lot of young people going to them. So if you make an R-rated film, you're basically ruling out a lot of your potential viewers, and you know, they're not going to be able to see it. So that's pretty much my take on the whole PG-13 versus R-rated thing. I think it could be good either way. Would be better potentially if it's R-rated, but that's not all he has going for him, this character, just the violence and the swearing. But I'll kind of stick to that anyway for now. Now, there's lots of other things, lots of other questions, lots of other things that I think about this. Another big issue is, obviously, there was the X-Men Origins Wolverine film where this was the Deadpool that you got. And a lot of fans, including myself, were very much disappointed by that. And of course, that was played by Ryan Reynolds in that film, and I don't think he's officially confirmed yet, but I'm absolutely sure he's going to be this Deadpool character, the Wade Wilson character. Now, whether or not you see him like as Ryan Reynolds properly or not, I don't know, but they're going to go with him. I mean, he's even said, like, recently, you know, in the wake of the announcement that they're actually doing the film, he's kind of talking about it as if he's going to be in the film, so he's obviously involved, probably signed up already, but as far as I know, it's not been officially announced. So, but it raises a question though, is this film going to be in canon with the X-Men films, either past or future? Because obviously the X-Men films have kind of gone a bit of an underhaul recently with the changing of the past in Days of Future Past. They've kind of got an alternate timeline now. Star Trek, J.J. Abrams style. They've changed things, therefore certain films that came before, although they are canon, that is now an alternate reality because they've changed things. Now, I do know that the The X-Men Origins Wolverine film is set in 1979. The incident at the end in that huge industrial place, can't remember the name of it now, but that was an actual event that actually happened. It was an industrial disaster in American history. It happened in 1979. It didn't quite happen the way you saw it in the film, with a guy with big adamantium claws sticking out of his hands, but the disaster itself was real. It was kind of based on that. So that's when that film is set, 1979. So if Deadpool, the Deadpool that we're going to see in this new film, is canon with that, then Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool at his age would be around about that era. So is it going to be set in present day, or is it going to be set in late 70s, early 80s? It's really interesting. It begs the question. I mean, are they going to stick to that at all? Really not sure. I mean, they could somehow just kind of work it in and just say, well, forget about that. One other interesting thing about Deadpool character is he does break the fourth wall quite a lot, and he actually speaks to the audience or the comic book reader, so I'm assuming that they're going to stick with that in the film. And he's actually kind of self-aware that he is a comic book character. He often talks to the reader and says, "Hi, I know you're reading this comic book and I'm in it," kind of thing. "I'm just a character in a book," but yeah. So is he going to do that in the film? Because if he does, he could actually reference the X-Men Origins film. He could kind of take the piss out of that and be like, "Well, that guy that you saw in that film, this guy, that's not me. They really messed me up in that film. This is the real me. I'm Deadpool. Just forget that film." You know, they could do that. It'd be really good. And I think that would really kind of explain it without explaining it. But it's worth doing because it's so funny, you know, if they do that. We'll see anyway. I would like it if they did that. But there's ways of doing it. There's ways of doing it right. There's bad ways of doing it as well. I just hope that they don't mess it up like that. Other issues with the Deadpool thing, how is it going to fit in with the X-Men universe? I mean, it's kind of an extension of what I've been talking about, but generally, how is it going to fit in? Because it's 20th Century Fox that own these characters, the X-Men characters, and that universe, including Deadpool, so they're doing this film. They also own the Fantastic Four as well, but I don't think they're going to tie it in with that with their future film. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So how's it going to fit? Because the tone of the X-Men films and the tone of Deadpool, well, if it's going to be PG-13, which I hear it is going to be, they could work together. They could still be in kind of continuity with each other. They could play it down. They could tie them together. I mean, as far as I know, the next X-Men film, Apocalypse, is due out also in 2016. So these two films could really tie together. Or not, I don't know, we'll see. But as I say, the X-Men films are PG-13, and from what I understand, the Deadpool movie isn't going to be R-rated, it's going to be PG-13. So the tone may gel with that, so they might cross them over. Anything else I could really say about this? Not really, I can't really think of anything else to add for now. There's going to be a lot of discussion about this, and I'm going to be following this on brandxreviews.com as stuff develops. So if you want to check back, as I say, brandxreviews.com, and we will see you next time.